All right, here we go. Michael Jai White.
All right,
Welcome back.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
All right.
It's been a few months.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, and actually what's interesting is that in our last interview, when I asked you what you would do if Will Smith slapped you, became our biggest interview clip in 4 years.
Really?
If you were on stage and Will Smith...
Just stop it.
It's just not a conversation, is 3.6 million views and counting.
Gee.
Tens of thousands of new views a day.
Yeah, on a question that I never answered.
Yeah, you're
Interesting.
right. You just shut down the question. I mean, were people hitting you? Did you see that clip? Like,
You know, that was odd because my daughter's friends were asking her about that in her classroom. Like, you know,
right.
like she's 13. It's like, what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Certain things just go viral and you don't
I
really
don't
know
understand.
why.
Yeah.
You know, if you would have asked me, you know, in our interview, is that going to be a huge clip? I'd be like, I don't think so.
Of course not.
There's a series of maybe 50 questions,
Mhm.
but for some reason kind of connected with people.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep. Yep. Well, let's talk about what's happening right now. And I think Kanye West has been at the top of the news.
Mhm.
He recently did an interview on a podcast where he walked out when he started bringing up the whole Jewish anti-Semitic thing. And when the person wasn't co-signing that, he walked out. To me, the most disturbing part of what Kanye's been on recently, though, was the George Floyd comments. When he said that George Floyd didn't really die from the knee on his neck. It was really fentanyl, and the cop's knee wasn't even really on his neck like that, which triggered a lawsuit by Floyd's daughter's family and so forth. When you saw and heard about all these rants, what did you think? You know, and this comes after the slavery was a choice, and Harriet Tubman didn't really free the slaves, and so forth.
You might be surprised by this answer, but I honestly kind of like divorced myself from anything Kanye so long ago that it's just kind of like there's no nourishment from anything Kanye to me, right? It's somebody I just don't, I never cared about celebrity so much. It's about someone's character. And so the fact that someone's rich but behaves that way, just when I saw the behavior of when he snatched the microphone from that young girl.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I mean, I erased everything that I had of his in musically because, I didn't want to connect it to that kind of behavior. I just hate bully shit. So it's almost like I have a filter. And it's just like, just like with nutrition, man. It's like there's food that tastes good that you could eat, right? And just like with this, what do you call it, social media, I mean, why am I going to consume junk? So there's nothing, I felt like there's nothing from this dude that is nourishing to me. It only upsets me, and it just reminds me that people just bow down to money. And it gets on my nerves. I mean, his character has been consistent for a very long time. And I don't want to feel like I'm one of the people that gets caught up in that. To detour my world for a second to think about that ignorance is like, I just swipe past anything like that. So I didn't know anything about, I've heard, of course, I heard smattering about some of these things, but it's just nothing that surprises me. You know what I mean? And it's just so cheap. Like it's so easy. Somebody could be ultra famous if you're a minority that would dare say something that racist white people want to say out loud. It's easy.
Right. Candace Owens has made a whole career.
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's easy. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, that's been around. I mean, there's Jews that said anti-Semitic things to get, popularity. There's famously Karl Marx was a Jew. It's like it's so simple and petty and shows a disdain for your own people. And so, I mean, I don't know. I never really register or consume anything from that guy. I have friends in common that there's been engagements that I just completely avoid that, would put me in a room with that guy. Because I don't want to make people feel bad, So, to each his own. But I can't play it off like, good to meet you, when I kind of want to dump you in on your head. So, it's, I don't know. I just don't, I'm not a fan of that guy.
Well, what's interesting is that D.L. Hughley, who's a regular guest on the show, did, I think, like a TMZ interview where he believes that Kanye would be in conservatorship if he were a woman.
I think so.
Like Britney Spears has been. I mean, in fact,
so.
I think Kanye's behavior is much more erratic than what I saw with Britney.
It could be. I mean, it's like I said, it doesn't surprise me that some of these, inflammatory things that is said from him. I think of it like, it's like, sometimes it's like the revenge of the nerds. I think the majority of famous people are nerds.
I agree.
Like, really, honestly,
I'm a nerd.
Deep down.
I'm definitely a nerd.
And because in like what we talked about is like, I knew there's another Tupac that if you really research it, there is a total contradictory person. Now, all you got to do is look at his interviews when he was 19, and you go, that's underneath the Machiavelli thing, So, it's like, yeah, a lot of people revert to their former nature once they get power, right? So he's the nerd he's always been, but now, it's kind of like the emperor's new clothes, So it's just human behavior. I'm not surprised by it, because it's difficult to change. It's painful for people. You got to go through something to change. You got to walk the burning sands to. And like I talked about, till I'm blue in the face. It's sometimes harder for famous people to have people in their circle who are really honest, who don't give a damn about being in their favor, to give them the truth. You know what I mean? And a lot of times those people are ousted anyway. So it's a tricky thing, but it's ultimately up to that individual to evolve, and it's hard to do.
Well, when you talk about who's in Kanye's circle right now, is Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos, who are two of the most repulsive people on this planet. Nick Fuentes, who believes that women shouldn't have the right to vote, compared the Holocaust to cookies in the oven, called the black vote the N-word vote with the hard R. Milo has promoted gay relationships between 15-year-old boys and older men. This is how he got fired from Breitbart and a bunch of other places. Both of them, I believe, have been banned from all social media networks, and this is his crew now.
Easy to get famous. That's people. I mean, they should bring back ass whippings. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you learned there's some stupid shit you got your ass whipped.
Right.
And then you go, I'm not going to do that stupid shit anymore.
Right. I learned my lesson.
There's character building ass whippings that have just been avoided by these people. And so I just, I wish they could just bring back ass whippings.
So Balenciaga put out some ads promoting some new products to them, and they show a little girl with a teddy bear with an S&M outfit on. And one of the bear's eyes is actually kind of blackened. So you kind of have this imagery of a child and sadomasochism all put together. And somehow whoever was there to kind of check this off and approve it, I don't know whether they were asleep at the wheel or whether they actually thought this was kind of cool, but this actually went out publicly on their Instagram channel. And there was also another part where there's basically, this came all from the same company, the same ad company that they hired.
Mm-hmm.
There was an advertisement with some new bags, and behind the bag was some paperwork, which was the 2008 U.S. Supreme Court ruling of United States versus Williams, which was actually a ruling that upheld the Protect Act, which criminalizes child pornography. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was like all these really disturbing things having to do with children and protecting children, and now they're pushing this whole thing. It got to the point where even Kim Kardashian had to publicly speak out against it, but she's saying she's not necessarily going to end her relationship with Balenciaga. But yeah, it's kind of frightening. It's kind of frightening.
Circle, bring back ass whippings.
Someone at Balenciaga sees their ass kicked. That's what you're saying.
See, that's why I like Australia, because you can still kick somebody's ass in Australia.
What do you mean?
Not get sued. And
what do you mean? What kind of ass kicking can you legally do in Australia?
In a lot of places, you can still get your ass kicked and develop into manhood and womanhood, and check yourself and go, oh, I ain't gonna do that anymore. It's just I just feel like, man, they just realized this. There's always been indecency that you could have gone to and get a lot of attention, right? But now it's front and center, man. Like, of course, with elections and everything else, I can behave badly and look at my numbers. You know what I mean? But there's no integrity anymore. Because, yeah, you could, if I shake my ass, I do that. I do the most lowest common denominator, and I get famous for it. I get money for it. And then there you go. I mean, but I'm old enough to have been around and see people do that, and their lives are like this. But they praise the almighty dollar for a while. But they can. You can't hide from it. You can't hide from it. It's gonna get you. You know what I mean? It's gonna get you. But I just I say this because I think about the young kids. They're developing who they are. And this generation is showing them some bullshit, and it's leading them down a really terrible road. And they right now they don't see the traps that these jackasses are heading toward. You know what I mean? So, the guy you was talking about before, Kanye, got whatever. I don't know. Does he seem like a happy person to you? I don't care how much money you got. There's a road that it looks like he's heading toward that I wish the kids get the message that, okay, this leads to this. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, you get all this attention, you shake your ass in front of a camera, and you put plastic all in your body, and you do this and that to get attention. They're not thinking about where it leads to, right? Because that cautionary tale is not in front of them yet, right? I'm of course, I'm old enough to see where that has led to, with a lot of very morally bankrupt, unhappy people my age and even younger, and it's pretty damn sad.
Well, yeah, I recently said that I wouldn't do an interview with Kanye West. And people think it's because of the anti-Semitic comments, and actually it isn't. It's because this looks like a mentally disabled person at this point. Just like I wouldn't do any more interviews with Orlando Brown, who's just clearly off his rocker. I don't want to sit down with someone who's just jabbering nonsense and weird conspiracy theories and is going from weird topic, can't answer questions, going off on tangents and so forth. To me, that's almost like taking advantage of the person. The fact that so many people are doing, basically, it seems like Kanye's full-time job is doing interviews at this point. He's going to any platforms you've never even really heard of that don't have a big following, but for whatever reason, he's showing up on these platforms and just spouting the same type of nonsense every time. And of course, there's always a platform that'll take that on because of the views and the attention. But for me, it's like, I'm cool. Like maybe at some later point, if Kanye actually gets on the right medication, because I know people that have been with him for like, known him for like 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell me straight up that he is bipolar and he does not take his medication.
Yeah.
And this is what happens. And look, we live in LA. Go downtown, you'll see homeless people that are saying similar things to Kanye. But the fact that they're sitting there on the ground and they're dirty, you just ignore them and keep going. But the fact that it's Kanye West and he's got a musical catalog and he's got sneakers that people like, it's interesting because you put this out there, like for example, how he showed up to, at Trump's dinner with Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist, and people are like, oh no, that was genius. That was because he's running for president and he sabotaged, Trump so he could win. He's really smart. And it's like, everyone's trying to find the genius in just dumb behavior. No, it's just dumb behavior. Trump, and the whole thing, like Trump said, I didn't know who Nick Fuentes was. Trump is a former president who has lifetime Secret Service. You mean to tell me that anyone getting into Trump's immediate vicinity is not fully vetted and checked out by his Secret Service who has to protect him for the rest of his life? Every single person around. This is not just a reality star who happened to have some racist guy next to him unknowingly. Every person is vetted and researched in order to get next to this man because he's a former U.S. president, whether people like it or not. So it's all a series of bullshit.
Yeah.
It's upsetting. It's upsetting because, look, name me another country where you could incite, overturning an election and then be able to run again.
Mm-hmm.
Do that shit in China. Do that shit in a Middle Eastern country. You will be hanged in the town square to a cheering crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But in America, you get to run again. And whether people want to admit it or not, Trump does have a chance.
Ass whippings. Would have prevented this entire
prevented all this.
Yeah.
All this.
And when it comes out, it's the ego, right? It's like if you're talking about Kanye, you're talking about Trump. When you're talking about a situation where someone's ego is beyond anything else, there's nothing more important than them, right? If these people's families or other people were more important than them, this would never happen. You know what I mean? So it's that when you're the center of the universe, this will happen. And this is a consistent thing. Like yourself, myself, my family, my word, there's things that are so much more important than me that would prevent me from going down any of these roads. And that's what it is that I'd hope we would see in, the leadership, is that there's something more important than them. There's something beyond them. Well, and if you got something that's like, if this guy's, calling himself, what is he?
Jesus.
So Jesus or something like that. Like, there's nothing more. That's, it's like people take that as a sign.
Well, I mean, Jay-Z kind of does the same thing. Jehovah.
Yeah.
He's calling himself Jehovah,
uh-huh.
right? Which is another word for God, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Jehovah is another word for God. So
But it's believing it, and I don't think he believes it. You know what I mean?
Look,
so it's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point because Kanye has 4 children. After the whole anti-Semitic rant, Kim Kardashian had to actually get extra security at her school because of what started to happen.
Yeah,
things started to spill, over LA, like a big sign, like, Kanye was right about the Jews was over the 405 freeway, which is right over there.
Right.
And at one point, do you not think about the kids?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Do you not think about your 4 kids?
That's what I'm saying.
Who have Jewish classmates
above you. It's got to be something above your goddamn ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or that's just, That's why with it, with this industry and with power, it shows who you really are. And there's some sick people in power. And you got sycophants that's going to rationalize anything you do. I mean, we see it all over the place. We see it as, there's Trump supporters that I don't care what he did. I mean, he talked about it himself. I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
Right.
So, and then it becomes that. It's more about, then we're talking about the person's ego who is a supporter of his. So here's another person that feels like there's nothing beyond what they want. So they're going to rationalize no matter what Kanye or Trump does, because it's all part of his master plan and all that kind of stuff. Not seeing that there's somebody where, the through line being this person thinks that they're a deity. And it's only bad stuff happens after that.
Yeah.
Hitler, Mussolini. Just look back in history.
Well, the Kanye thing kind of spilled into the Kyrie Irving thing when he had posted a link to a documentary. It was called Hebrews to Negroes. Wake Up, Black America.
Doesn't quite rhyme, but
yeah,
maybe it's not supposed to.
I don't think it is, no.
No, but they set it up like it's supposed to rhyme.
Yeah, so he had posted a link to it. In the film, there was references to Jewish people worshiping Satan. There was also some Holocaust denial type stuff in there. Originally, he defended his position, saying, I know who I am. I'm not going to apologize for it. Later on, he apologized. And he was given like these demands to do. It was like a bunch of, you got to meet with this group and meet with that group and do this type of training and so forth. A lot of people felt that it was overstepping, me included. I thought that it was actually ridiculous. Look, he said what he said. He apologized, or he didn't apologize at some point. Decide what you're going to do. Either keep him or not keep him. To make him go through all these, exercises like he's a child, I think is silly. And a lot of people actually compared it to buck breaking.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I absolutely do, because that was one of these things where I almost called you too, because I called a number of people because I felt like I was off doing this movie or whatever, and I was getting little bits and pieces. And a lot of times, like I said before, I don't really get caught up in a lot of social media stuff. But I was on a search of, wait a minute, what did Kyrie say? What did he say? And I was calling all kinds of friends. I'm like, yeah, but what did he say? They said, oh, well, he posted this thing about this book that's supposed to be anti-Semitic. And I'm like, well, but I couldn't find what he said.
He didn't say anything.
Yeah, so I was going, what am I missing? Because, Charles Barkley and these folks angry about him. And that started, I'm like, I must be missing something. Because Charles Barkley called this man an idiot, I believe.
Was it Barkley or was it Shaq?
It was somebody who I'm going, wait. Here's a man who's is more like you than 99% of the human population.
It was actually both, both Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. I think they both kind of called him an idiot.
Yeah, so I was going, wait, because, I'm a big fan of who Shaq is.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, I must be missing something. Because if they didn't see the documentary, I'm like, what did this guy say other than, because if Kyrie is in search of, enlightenment or, he's searching for what's been denied to so many people, just information. And he's gotten something from this documentary. And if those guys did not see the documentary, I'm like, how are you called? Wait, you must have seen the documentary before you said something about it. I'm thinking, I got to be missing something because I don't know what this man said other than he found something enlightening about the documentary.
Well, yeah,
and I called a number of Jewish friends. It was like, I was going to call you too because I'm going, what am I missing here? Because I don't hear the inflammatory statement. Yeah, maybe the book that it seems like
The documentary. Well,
the documentary.
I think what it is that, look, two people could look at the same thing and see different things based on what they're looking for.
Right.
I think with Kyrie, what he was looking at is, this documentary feels that Black Americans are the original Jews, right? And that they're the original Semites. You can't be anti-Semitic because, this is supported by like the Black Israelites, which is why, like, if you looked at in front of, before his games, they showed out in mass to support him and so forth like that. There is the thinking that, that Black people are one of the tribes of Israel and they're the real Jews. And there's also the thinking that like the Ashkenazi Jews, which is me, are quote unquote fake Jews. We somehow, tricked the real Jews.
So the documentary speaks
on that. And to me, I don't really care about any of this. Yeah, if you don't feel I'm real or fake, or if you feel you're real, like, to me, this is all fairy tales, even though I'm Jewish by, based on, my mother and grandmother and so forth. I think this whole chosen people thing is dumb. And I think that it just creates division within people. And I feel that Jewish people, by pushing this whole thing, kind of cause some of the problems as well. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, like, I don't care. That's fine to me. If he feels that he's the real Israelite, please embrace that and go forward with it.
Yeah, that's if he said he feels that. I mean,
and he was essentially saying, he said, I'm not going to apologize because I know who I am.
I can't He's talking about that aspect
of the documentary. Now, the other part about the Holocaust and the devil worshiping and so forth, and how, I think like this documentary also claims the Jews really, financed the whole slave trade and they're responsible for all of it. Listen, I don't know. This was many hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Were there Jewish people involved in the slave trade? Probably. Were they the main financiers of the slave trade? I don't think so, because you would see more Jewish last names with Black people today. How many? You see what I'm saying? Like,
but either way, my point is this: do you agree with everything in the Bible?
No.
Any Christian,
right?
Do you agree with everything in the Bible? Not. I don't care if you're an evangelist. There's things that you're going to interpret for yourself,
right?
Okay, so. Are they just basically cherry picking and say, "Oh, there's this egregious part of the book,
right?
Therefore, Kanye is
you gotta
promoting
throw out the
this."
whole book. Yeah.
So you can't
Kyrie,
you can't talk. It's
Kyrie, yeah.
But so that means you can't really speak about the Bible because of there's so many things that you can pull out.
Cain and Abel.
Yeah, there's so many things. Yeah. So I'm going no. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'll throw this out there. What do you think Muhammad Ali's response would have been?
Muhammad Ali would have said,
what do you think
fuck this sport?
Muhammad Ali's response would have been, as soon as he heard about what Kyrie was speaking about, what do you think he would have done? And I asked my sports heroes that question. Do you think he would have said what these guys have said? Or do you think he would have said, hell, I don't know what's wrong with saying, I haven't seen it, haven't read that book that it was based on. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's wrong with saying that? Well, that's why I'm saying, like, maybe I'm missing something. That's why I was going, he must have said something. And something to apologize for, other than saying, I got something out of this documentary. Go at it. Like, so, because, I don't.
Well, you also got to understand that Muhammad Ali was built different than any of these athletes.
Right.
And I remember me and academics were talking about this, how the Muhammad Alis, the Jim Browns of the world just do not exist in today's financial sports structures. Maybe because it's more money, or maybe because there's less integrity, or whatever else. But think about it. Like, academics basically describe Kyrie Irving as someone who just double dutches.
Kyrie just one of the motherfuckers who you get to a point of you think you got a good amount of money, maybe not yet fuck you money, but you have a good enough money where you think, who we usually see this type of behavior from? NFL wide receivers, okay? They always have the biggest egos in the world. They think I'm cool enough to play football as long as y'all operate under my rules. Not realizing that you know why you became this person with all this wealth and all this, right? Because you worked in this system. But they get to a point where now they're only down to do it under their terms. The difference between Kyrie and like LeBron, Kobe, or Michael Jordan, them dudes just love the game, man. As much as I love LeBron, he ain't stand for no social issues like that would have forced him, or he had never had to make a decision that had to go against playing. You get what I mean? And that's why I said people like Kyrie, he's in between.
You know what I mean? He wants to be a social, a guy for social change, but he still wants the money. You know what I mean? So he kind of, I think the same thing with Kaepernick. Oh, I'm going to stand against this, but I still want a job with the NFL. But I'm going to sue the NFL and get a bunch of money, but I still want to be a quarterback. It's like you can't really do it both sides. You either say, fuck this system, and I'm going to stand for what I believe in, or you say, okay, I'm going to go along with the system.
I still put Kaepernick closer to the Muhammad Ali.
Closer, but you're not going to put him in the same category as Muhammad Ali. I don't think that's fair to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali went to jail.
Muhammad Ali
went to jail because he would not fight in Vietnam.
But he still wanted to box, right?
He still boxed, but he lost the ability to box when he was in prison because of his beliefs.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but
I'm saying
and
this was not. And look, Kaepernick, you can't say Kaepernick at the point that he started protesting was in his prime. He was not Tom Brady. No. He was already very much a second and third string quarterback, and he was already on his way out.
I hear you, but he put his ass on the line.
But he did, yeah. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that. But I can't put him in the same breath as a Muhammad Ali who just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go sit in a jail cell because of what I believe in. Fuck all this money. Fuck this sport. Fuck what this country stands for. I'm not gonna go there and kill a bunch of Asian people because they're telling me to go do this." Right. Those, what I mean? Like those people never did anything to me. So if you want me to go kill those people,
there ain't many Americans like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is one of the greatest Americans who's ever lived.
I would agree.
Aside from boxing,
I would agree, and that's why it's really It's not a shot so much at a Kaepernick or a Kyrie. It's really just Muhammad Ali really stood for something different. And the level of competitiveness of what he would put in that ring. And how much damage he took in order for, to the sport, to the point where he continued to even box when clearly his mental capacities were very much depleted. Yeah. You saw those last few interviews, his last few fights.
Of course.
He had no business getting in that ring. And honestly, the boxing commission shouldn't have even allowed him to step in that ring. They just wanted the money and all the fame around having this huge superstar get back in the ring.
How you gonna? Who's gonna be the person that says I'm gonna stop Muhammad Ali from fighting because this is for his own good?
I think that
would have to be another Muhammad Ali to do that.
Referees stop matches.
No.
Very unpopular at that time.
Referee, you're talking about referees stopping a match.
Yeah,
you're talking about one of the greatest human beings, the greatest athletes of all time, who could have had the power to stop his career? Nobody.
Someone who said
it would have to be
you're mentally incapacitated.
Yeah, but nobody has that
now.
Power to do that.
Absolutely. No. People stop boxing matches all the time.
No, you're talking about
all the time.
You're talking about a boxing match. You're not talking about somebody's career. Like to have the power to say you're done. Your license is gone. Like to be able to do that. There's no one person that has that. Like I said, that would have to be somebody of such a deep integrity that will take the slings and arrows of everybody who will persecute him to say, I'm pulling Muhammad Ali's license to box for his own good. Yeah. It's just, that doesn't exist.
Okay, so they didn't pull the license, and what happened? You have like the Trevor Burbick fight, which was just
it's unfortunate,
just
but
tragic.
You know what I mean? You don't have a boxing czar. Unfortunately, you don't have, I wish there was somebody that could have done that, but it's like there would be a czar that would be dealing with Kanye or whatever. So it's like we just don't have those things where somebody could just go, for your own good, I'm gonna like extract you from here. Unfortunately, but I mean, hey, Muhammad Ali, you can't. It's been hard to stop him. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with, I don't know if it's the same tangent, but like, every time there's a mass shooting, right? People talk about gun control.
Mm-hmm.
I think they waste so many words when if they had words that spoke to the problem, people could listen. Because, like this last thing that just happened, it's like, okay, the guy was a manager of a Walmart.
Yeah.
That guy is more in control of giving people guns, right? So you're never going to, let's not use that argument in this situation. Let's use an argument when it could be applicable to something, because nobody's going to give up their guns. Stop it. Just stop it. That's never going to happen. So why waste your words?
I think it might eventually happen. I don't know in our lifetime.
No, it's not
in our lifetime. But I think at some point when you have these mass shootings over and over and over again, the Walmart shooter bought the gun the same day that he did the shooting.
You can't stop. Okay.
Are there mass shootings in England?
Well, it's a big difference there.
Well, there's no guns allowed in England. There's some stabbings that happen here and there, but it's different than a mass shooting.
Yeah, but it's in America. We have different.
I understand, but I'm saying,
yes.
At some point, you say
you can waste your time talking about we could get all the guns, but it's just not going to happen.
I mean, they've already banned assault rifles from.
They do. They ban it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you could. Okay, the AR-15 is the most common. That's the biggest gun ever. Like, a lot of people don't even understand what assault rifles are, because you're really talking about a lot of people on the left that really don't know what they're talking about, because they just go guns bad guns, and it's like they're wasting a great deal of time when you're talking about getting guns away from the citizenry. Yeah, you've got insane people. You want to get it out of the hands of people who are not in their right mind. But there's so many situations. As soon as these things happen, let's look at the person who did it and say, would gun control have stopped that person?
Well, yeah. Look at the Colorado shooting, in the gay bar.
Mm.
The guy who did that shooting, killed a bunch of people, had basically threatened to blow up his mother with a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he, to the point where the police were called in and everything else like that. And he should have been, at that point, there should have been like a terrorist, like there's like a clause, I believe, in Colorado where the police could have enacted on it where he would not be allowed to actually have weapons moving forward. Clearly the guy is fucking crazy. He tried to blow up his mom with a bomb.
But you find that out afterwards,
right? But I'm saying that it could have been prevented. He legally bought all the guns when he walked into the gay bar and started opening fire.
If they legally are buying, because what you're talking about is mental illness.
Yes.
So you don't know when somebody's going to crack.
You know something?
You have no idea when that's going to happen.
I don't know.
Nobody can police every American and figure out when they're going to crack, because you can say crazy shit and nobody can come get you. Like, you know what I mean? There's the majority of people who say crazy shit don't do crazy shit.
Do you think that someone that shoots a bunch of people has mental illness, or do you think that people know, or do you think that people get angry and sometimes act out on that anger in the worst possible way? You see what I'm saying? Like, do soldiers have mental illness who go into war and kill a bunch of enemies? Like, no, they're considered good soldiers. Does Obama have mental illness because of all the people that he all the drone strikes and killing bin Laden and everything else like that, or was he just doing his job? Does someone who work at
these are leaps though, man?
No, it's not leaps. No, it's not. It's not because certain murders are considered bad and certain murders are considered acceptable.
Well, do you think somebody who kills a mass amount of strangers angry?
According to this guy, to the manifesto of the death note of the Walmart shooter, the people he killed were actually people he knew, who he felt like were fucking with him and so forth. Is that mental illness, or is that just I am so fucking angry right now that I'm just going to take it out on everybody?
Okay, and then there's a thing where I'm coming back to wasted words, because we could talk about that till we're blue in the face, and there's nothing that we could do to prevent someone from getting angry and doing whatever. But there is a lot of mental illness out there, and personally, I'm going to say this. I think a lot of it has to do with the damn video games.
Right, you said this.
I don't think
that
really
that's,
feel like people talk about Hollywood.
It's a real argument.
They talk about Hollywood and violence in movies. There's been violence in movies since the 40s. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a time, right around Grand Theft Auto time. I think if you think about from that game when somebody, now healthy people imagining killing people in the street, right?
Yeah.
We know what to do with that. That was a game. But there's unhealthy people out there. What are they thinking?
Yeah,
they're thinking, man, I would love to do this one day. And I bet you every one of those mass shooters probably had a damn game.
Yeah. I bet you, most mass shooters, I believe, are gamers.
There was a time where ass whoopings were, in popularity, right? And there was a decency that, no, you can't play this shit. There was things on TV that was like mess with your mind, and you couldn't put subliminal things out there. That changed. All these things changed, and it's like, okay, Grand Theft Auto. Oh, and now really imagine, now I'm a sick person that needs to just be in my goddamn basement all day. Now I'm playing a game, and you look at these cats with these mass shootings. Don't they look like some basement dwelling motherfuckers?
Look,
I mean, honestly, and it's like this dude don't get out. He's playing with these games and going, that would be good.
Listen, on September, this is since our last interview, I put a tweet out. I said, as an adult, playing video games for long periods of time is a form of depression. If you don't believe me, ask yourself this: think about the 100 greatest moments of your life. Do any of these moments include video games? Probably not. And this comes from a lifetime gamer. This tweet was actually the biggest thing I've ever tweeted in my entire life. And I've been on Twitter now for like 15 years or whatever, however many years it's been up. 25 million impressions of this tweet. People lost their shit. Like, people were arguing with me. They tried to ban my account.
Yep, you touched a nerve, bro.
I touched a nerve because look.
Absolutely.
Listen, I can just, listen. I'm going to be 50 in 6 months. I could just look at, and I've been gaming since I was, 12. I had a ColecoVision. Go ahead and Google that shit. Okay. I could just think of my 100 greatest moments with women that a video game can't even approach touching. Just women, just one genre of my life.
Yeah.
Let's take away skydiving, traveling to other countries, times with my family. Let's just look at just women, and a video game can't come close to that. But people argued with me. I mean, shit. Kevin Durant chimed in. Ocho Cinco chimed in. Like, all these famous gamers started to chime in, and most of them were arguing with me. And I'm like, all right, listen, if video games are your top 100 moments of your existence, you with a joystick and a screen, like that is a top 100 moment of you living? I just don't get it. I just simply don't get it.
He said this, not me.
I said it.
Go at him.
Yeah.
Not me.
Please do.
But I'm telling you.
The tweet is still up. I never took that shit down. It's still up.
Yeah. It touches a nerve. A lot of people I can't get with it. I don't know a damn thing about video games. I don't know. It's just, but hey, people are thinking about their healthy wave that they play, unwind with the video game and everything else. Yeah. But I just want to think about other people who are not as healthy as them. Just like when we talk about the whole rap thing, there's things that, it's an entertainment, it's, escapism. But there are people who take that and go, I want to be that, right? There are impressionable young people that it's affecting, not the way it's affecting you, it's affecting them differently. They want to be what those lyrics say, even though almost every goddamn rapper is a nerd. If you just carefully look underneath, you go, oh shoot, This dude is a fun-loving, like, you know, like how much shit did he spew out there, you know, when he was on the way up, you know? And it's like, come on now. But I mean, I used to be a school teacher. I happen to know when, you know, and I was one of these kids too, where I wanted to be cool. I hid my books. I used to have two sets of books. So I didn't want to be seen carrying books home. Right? So that's even back in my old ass days. Now, what are they dealing with? It's, you know, the gangster mentality. Every youngster grabs onto the voice of rebellion, right? Mm-hmm. I don't care if you know, back in the 50s, it was slicking your hair back. Now it's like looking like a gangster or behaving like a gangster, sagging, all that type of stuff. You know, it's, you know, society now is even more compacted by social media. Yeah, nobody's talking about getting an education. A lot of them, you know, that's Underground Railroad shit right there. You know what I mean? Unfortunately. Nah, let me get off the soapbox. Well, old dude.
Well, Takeoff from the Migos recently got killed. Mm-hmm. Did you follow the story at all?
Not even. No, I didn't know. I mean, I've been finding out who people were after they've been killed.
Yeah. Well, Takeoff is a third of the group, the Migos, which is a very important group in hip hop. They were out in Houston, hanging out with Jay Prince's son and his crew, this crew called Mob Ties. And at this point, the details are a bit hazy because there's, you know, multiple videos that have surfaced, but it kind of, you know, I don't know if it started, but one of the things that was happening was it was a dice game that started to pop off, that they were basically playing in public. One of the guys started to lose, the other guy started to talk shit, you know, and an argument ensued, and Quavo, one of the other members, said, "Oh, let me get up out of here before I hurt somebody." And then all hell broke loose. And it's interesting because, you know, we talked about this a lot. You grew up in Bridgeport. Someone very close to me is from Bridgeport also. Mm-hmm. And I remember that night, she basically went on this whole thing about how, you know, especially in Bridgeport, dice games are damn near robberies. People who play dice games in Bridgeport, things always end badly. You know?
Well, everything ended badly in Bridgeport.
Yeah. But, you know, like, you're close to your money because at any point, someone's going to come in and rob the dice game. At any point, someone doesn't have the money, gunshots. Like, I know someone who got killed in a dice game. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people are talking shit and so forth. There's a lot of cash. Mm-hmm. It's in the street. There's a lot of guns around, which is why you're so close to the, you know, you're right there by your money as you're rolling the dice.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of you're a multimillionaire and you're out playing dice out in public with some people you may not know is almost a recipe for a disaster to happen. And in this case, a disaster did happen.
Right. Yeah. You know, but I do identify with that a bit. Only because, like, I do the business that I do, acting and all that type of stuff. But, you know, a lot of things didn't get out of my system till much later. I still was attracted to being where the streets were alive. I loved being in projects.
Did you carry a gun at some point in your life?
I don't think there was a point where I didn't carry a gun.
Okay.
I mean, and then once I was 21, I've had CCWs since the time I was 21.
Okay.
But I carried before then. I mean, I didn't think that, that's something that my father, the few things that my father put in my head, because when I was 13, he says, you're never, he told me you were never fully dressed until you had your pistol with you.
Okay.
So stuck with me.
Okay. So this is an interesting conversation because I had a talk with a friend of mine. And, you know, this is someone around my age. And he was saying at a certain point in his life, he would not go to the corner store without a pistol on him. An illegal pistol.
I identify that,
right?
I lived that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, did you ever have to shoot that gun? He said, absolutely. And it was just by luck that he's not in prison for life at this point.
Me too.
Right? And these days, he has guns at home,
Yeah.
but he does not carry anymore. Because, and we had this conversation about when you have a gun, you are very likely, especially as a man, to escalate a situation that does not always need to be escalated.
Personality. That's dependent on who you are. I mean,
If you have a gun on you, it's a lot harder to back down from a situation if you're feeling kind of disrespected.
Look, like,
Am I right,
I
though,
can see
or
what
am I
you're talking. Yeah, not in my situation. I could. This is going to sound terrible, but I could kill somebody. I don't need a gun.
I was not ready for that.
Okay,
I fully believe you.
Yeah,
I know you very well. You're right.
But the thing is, it's like what you do with that. I mean, it comes down to this. Like, if you have the capacity to be violent, but you choose not to, that's a virtue.
But that's
You have
it's a
a
lot
choice.
easier to be violent when you have a gun on you than if you have to use your hands, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Let's just take you and I out of the equation. You take an average man, just an average, regular, working 9-to-5 guy. He's minding his own business. Someone walks up to him and slaps him in the face. Do you think that the reaction in general is different if that man had a gun or did not have a gun at that point? He's humiliated in front of, let's just say, his girl. If he has a gun on him, do you think that at that moment he'd be more likely to pull that gun out?
I would think he'd be more likely to pull that gun out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that situation doesn't necessarily call for a gun to be pulled out and a murder to occur. It's just a slap. It's just, you see what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, but
just a
it's not-
slap.
but-
It's
but
humiliation. It's ego.
I
It's
say you
pride.
can pull that gun out and do a lot of things with it.
Well, once you pull a gun out, then at that point, all bets are off on all sides.
Well, that depends. You know, that's
Because you may not be the
I
only
agreed
one
with
with
the
a gun.
pulling the gun out part. But
Once you pull a gun, man, I am fully in. Like, I have guns in my house, right? I've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
I got real scary guns in my house. I got guns that'll really fuck you up. But
it's the people, bro.
I feel at the point that I pull that gun out, I have to shoot that gun.
That's
I am not
I don't
of the
necessarily
thought
agree
that I'm gonna
with
wave
that.
it around, you
Yeah.
know, or shoot it up in the air. At the point that I pull that gun out, you come in my house, I'm going to try to kill you.
But you're
You know,
changing.
I'm on tape.
You're in,
saying
not,
that.
You're in. Yeah, but you're in. Now you just change it to your house. Now,
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like
But
if
I
somebody
can't-
slapped you on the
but
street,
then if I start to listen, man, if I start to carry, I think there are situations in my life that if I had a gun on me, I probably would have killed the person.
yeah, okay, that's
And it did not necessarily call for that person to die. I think that it was more my ego and my pride in those situations. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And it's these things,
and
I
once
love
you-
how our
once
talks
you
go,
kill a
'cause there's-
person,
there's
once that
full
person-
circle shit that keeps happening.
once that person dies, like,
But
you know what I
when
mean?
something's more important than you, what you gonna do? Your family, everybody, those people are more important than you.
Yeah.
Are you gonna make that choice? But so the whole thing is like well, the whole I just come from the way I look at life, right? My authentic self says, as a man, I'm keeping my sword sharpened. I'm keeping my clips full.
Okay.
Right? Because part of who I am is I protect those I love and myself, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like, there's a saying, well, I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, you and I have spoken about this. This is a conversation you and I have had on tape, I believe.
I don't know.
Okay. Stop me. If for some reason we didn't have this conversation on tape, stop me and I'll cut this part out. But you and I had a conversation, I believe on tape, where you were at a club and there was a dude that was around that was being disrespectful to the women that were in your group.
Yeah.
He was running his mouth and so forth.
Now the club is, there's a bunch of people out front, but there's these 5 dudes, I don't know, kind of gang affiliation there. But this cat had the Tupac style bandana, bunny rabbit style, like this. He was a big dude, right? And he was like, yo, that bitch is a toss-up, man. What? I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? Yo, that bitch, man, y'all need to, he was just, he had some beef with the girl that Billy was talking about. I said, yo, man, she could hear you, whatever. And Billy, my boy Billy chimes in, and this dude was like, motherfucker, I ain't talking to you. And I was like, yo, Billy, just ignore this guy. I'm telling Billy to ignore this dude. But so I started telling my man, like, look, Billy, he's just, he's just trying to get something going, right? Yeah, you trying to get something going, right? You big man, so you want, and so now I'm yelling at this guy. I'm like, yo, step off the curb, man. Come here, let me talk to you real quick. Like, thinking legally, if he steps off the curb, he can't sue me. Because I'm thinking, I'm gonna crack the shit out of this dude.
And you had a pistol on you.
In my car.
In your car,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had it ready to shoot this guy.
Yes.
If he continued along the path of disrespect that he was on.
No.
No?
No. It was a self-defense situation.
Okay.
He drove up to my car.
Mm-hmm.
Had he taken his hands off the steering wheel, something would have happened to him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm cool with that. He takes his hands off his steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You feel he has a gun at that point. You pull out and you kill him. Right?
I didn't do that.
You
That
didn't do that.
happen. Yeah, okay.
Didn't do that,
uh-huh.
right? But you said had he taken his hands off his steering wheel,
Yes.
you would have pulled out and shot him.
Yeah, something would have happened to him. Put it that way. Yeah.
Okay. Police show up, search his car. There's no gun in his car. You are now charged with murder.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
I doubt it.
Depends on the lawyer.
I seriously
Depends on
doubt
the judge. Depends on the jury.
we could
there
go-
is a question mark in this situation.
Yeah, it would have
There's
been
a
bad.
question mark in this situation. You're not going to tell me that I would have definitely walked away from it.
I think I would have.
You probably would have,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope that you would have.
Yeah.
But there is always the chance, man, listen.
True.
Once that investigation goes, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this man had no gun. It was a simple argument that the defendant overreacted with, and now there's a dead person. He's a father of 6. He goes to church every day. Here's him giving food to the homeless. Blah 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 blah. Like you saw. I don't know if you saw that whole thing. Of that women bodybuilder, the female bodybuilder who killed her husband. It was a documentary on Netflix. Anyways,
okay.
It was a whole crazy, a lot of people have seen it, but basically she killed her husband. She claimed it was self-defense. Once they investigated in it, she shot him with a shotgun and then went into the room, reloaded and came back and shot him again. Ultimately, she did like 15 years in prison for murder. So even though he was abusive and he was beating her, blah, 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 once the DA gets involved and they feel, something, I as the DA feel that Michael Jai White did this, unnecessarily, and I'm going to go out of my way to paint him as an angry person who just lashes out violently.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? All it takes is a jury to convict you, and at that point, it's done. And you see what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going with this?
We skirted around. We did a lot. We did a whole lot of that. we was like, but yeah, I mean, I concede your point. Yeah, things could have gone.
You could have gone to jail for murder, right?
No, I don't think
you could have gone to prison for murder. You can't say that's not a possibility in America.
No, there's reasons why I say that wouldn't be a possibility. The man, threatened in front of a lot of people, said the thing was going to escalate, drove his car around, very demonstrative.
Yes,
ran up to my car. Out in reasonable
but if
fear
there
of my
was no
life.
gun found in his car, then that would at that point raise a potential serious issue for you. Now, if there's a pistol in his hand, yes, self-defense, it's all good. But you never saw a pistol though, right? Did you ever see a pistol with him?
No, I didn't see a pistol.
There you go.
And also I was not illegally carrying one either. I was lawfully carrying. So it's. So I mean, we could play that, But the whole point, yeah. Like I remember what the damn point was.
We're just talking about guns and gun control and carrying and so forth like that.
Okay, yeah, but I like I say, I'm a believer in responsible, carrying of weapon. I'm not one of those that gonna blame gun control every time one of these things happen. I blame other things, and I just think it hurts your side when you have arguments that can never be. If you think they're going to do away with the Second Amendment, you're wasting your time. You're just wasting your time. Why not have tangible arguments? Why throw it out there and have? I don't know. I mean, I just think there's a whole lot of wasted words and energy when you could probably gain ground by suggesting things that are tangible, things that can happen.
Well, what did happen since our last interview is rapper PNB Rock was killed. He was with his baby mother at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in South Central. It started out as a robbery. It turned into a murder. It was done by, I believe, a 17-year-old kid, and his father was a getaway driver. Both of them were arrested. Now, you and I both live in L.A., and we travel all around. Have you ever been to the Roscoe's in South Central?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is that South Central, the one on Pico?
I believe so, yeah.
Shout out to Roscoe's on Pico. I don't know. I didn't know if that was South Central. I thought I don't know. I'm not the geography whiz, but I've been to the one on Pico.
It's on Manchester.
No, I haven't been on that.
Manchester and Maine. It's a real gang area, surrounded by Crips and Bloods and so forth, who are usually warring with each other. I've driven past there, but I would not get out my car and eat there.
What were you doing over there?
I drive around LA. I mean, I've been all around LA. I've been all around LA. I've been in Compton. I've been in Long Beach. Yeah, I live in LA.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to go everywhere. But there's certain places, like, especially who I am right now, I've I hang out in Inglewood. I used to stay out there. So there were times where I've gotten out my car to go eat at like a Jamaican food restaurant in Inglewood, and I'd get out and I'd look around and see kind of who's hanging out there. And I'm like, no, I'm getting back in my car. One person spots me, recognizes me, pulls out a cell phone, it turns into a thing. Suddenly I have 3-4 people I got to deal with. I don't have security with me. I may not have a weapon on me. Like it's to me, like I try to hang out in more high-end places right now, even though, listen, things could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
But still, there's just certain places I would not go out and just hang out and eat at because of who I am and being known. Like you yourself, do you feel like you have to avoid certain places just in case?
I have a learning disorder. Every day of my life, I don't remember I'm a celebrity. I swear, my wife has to help me out with that, because sometimes someone will be looking in a certain way, and I'm like, "Do we have a problem?" And they're like, "Oh, are you the guy from?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." But because I don't really think about it. Every now and then, I could sometimes notice if somebody looks and smiles or whatever. Oh, that's somebody who knows. Because I don't watch everything on TV, so I don't assume everybody watches me. So I a lot of times do really dumb things and get myself in situations. No, not real bad situations, but I forget that people know who I am, because
yeah, I mean, hanging out with you,
I just think of it as a job.
Yeah, I mean, hanging out with you, I've taken pictures, where people walk up to you and, oh, can you take, people have no idea who I am. So it's like, I'll be taking pictures of you and like fans and so forth. And, to me, it's cool. Like, oh yeah, my man,
Yeah,
no. So,
dude, but this time, like I'm supposed to go to the Olympia, and there's this big, they have a expo, a big fitness expo thing. And I'm into fitness and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, me and my wife are going. One time I went to this thing and thinking, oh, wow, everybody's coming out with their swag bags and all the new supplements and everything else. I walk in there, get 15 feet and get mobbed. And I'm like, dumbass, do you forget? I mean, I totally forget that I'm part of this world. We can't even move. And then the security breaks through. Oh, sorry, Mr. White. We didn't know which booth are you supposed to be at? I'm like, I thought I was going to shop, right? So they take me to, because I know a friend of mine is supposed to be at the men's fitness counter or whatever. So I say that, and they whisk me over there. There's like about 30 to 50 people following us and lining up while I'm there. And I'm like, I can't believe my dumb ass is here. I can't even shop. And people are lining up like I have something to sign. And I'm like, so at least like this time I got, I hate to be in that position of going, I need security. I hate that shit. I hate the idea of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I've had security for the past about 15 years. And it's not an everyday thing, but if I'm going to a hip hop event, or if I'm going to like a hip hop podcast, I will literally not step in without armed security.
What? Yeah, a hip hop podcast.
Yeah, like when I did No Jumper. Like for example, like,
I would have security there.
Right. Like when I did, I got interviewed by Adam 22 and No Jumper. Me and my security came up. And he had his own security. He goes, oh, well, you can't bring a gun in here. And I'm like, I ain't going in then.
Yeah.
He goes, well, I'm just doing my job. I'm like, I'm just doing my job.
Didn't I just see something with Adam 22 and somebody stole on another guy right in front of him?
Right. Yeah, there's a fight that happened right there. I'm not walking into this fucking craziness.
Yeah. That's just part
I'm not
of
going to my security guard fist fight someone. Like, yo.
Yeah,
like,
in the fitness world, it's not a danger thing. It's just like I'm trying to move type of thing.
Right.
And I don't want to turn people away, but like that's not what I'm there for. It's
but look at for example, what just happened with Terrell Owens. Did you see that video?
I did. It's funny, but I'm not on social media very much, but I did happen to catch that.
Terrell Owens was at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And some bozo just started talking shit to him and wanted to fight him. And Terrell Owens fucked him up. But Terrell Owens can't beat up everybody.
Right.
Terrell Owens could have gotten fucked up real bad that day. Let's just say this whole situation. I mean, listen, Terrell Owens is a big, strong, healthy dude, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could beat up most people. But let's just say that the guy he hit pulled out a gun and shot him in the head. You know what people would have said? He should have had security.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't be moving around. He's Terrell Owens. What is he thinking?
Right, yeah.
He should have had someone protecting him. Mm. He was being cheap. He was trying to save money. And
there's no way to live if you got security around you 24/7.
Well,
that's like, I can't imagine that kind of life.
Well, I mean, we all know people like this. Busta Rhymes has 24/7 security. His security goes to his house,
hip-hop. Yeah,
picks him up, is with him 24/7, then drops him off back to his house. Do you think that, Eddie Murphy, I doubt, walks around without security?
Yeah, but you say Denzel Washington, I almost always run into him by himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I've
that cat
never run into him.
Yeah, but I think he knows how to just subdue folks verbally. He insists on just moving his own way. There's a lot of people like that.
No, I feel you. And shout out to Denzel. He is very much loved and so forth, but there's always going to be one. I mean, look at Mike Tyson on the airplane. Mike Tyson didn't have security, but you got this idiot behind him that just kept fucking with him over and over again until Mike had to just fuck him up. Mm-hmm. Now, I believe it was justified, but this guy is suing. I don't know.
He's suing?
That's what I heard.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
He was just like, his lawyer was like, he was just a fan who was just really excited. He didn't deserve to get beat up like that. And there is an argument for that. I mean, technically, Mike didn't have to do what he did. Mm-hmm. He chose to do it because he fucking just snapped and it was over. Yeah. Had Mike had security, the security would have been like, hey, man, sit down, calm down. Mike does not want to talk to you right now. and so forth. When I have security, sometimes I got obnoxious people walking up to me, and I'd be like, I don't want to talk to this guy. My security politely tells the guy to, stand back and so forth, and that's what it is.
Yeah, we got to contact our congressman and try to bring an ass whipping bill.
An ass whipping bill
into government. That would be cool. Like if there's just certain lines where you can legally get your ass kicked. That would be, Mike Tyson. That would be, justified ass whipping, right there with that dude on the plane. That would I vote that we try to push this bill.
Did you watch the Tyson series on Hulu?
No.
Mm-mm. The guy, the young Tyson, they kind of nailed, but the adult Tyson didn't look anything like him. Like anything like him. And I guess Tyson was real upset. I'm saying that they were able to make the series about him without compensating him or his input on that.
I think that's just the nature of the business. When you're a public figure, you don't
exactly. Well,
just
you
just
played
like
Tyson,
when I played him, like I don't.
Yeah, Tyson he was locked up during that time, right?
Yeah.
So once again, when HBO, it was HBO, right?
Yeah, HBO
did the series that you starred in as Tyson. He didn't get paid for it. He wasn't involved in the input.
No,
but he actually, when I interviewed him, he actually spoke highly of you.
Yeah, I was thankful. I was thankful about that because I feel like we had so many things in common. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like I was kind of born to play that role. Come on, we're both at 14 fighting grown men. It kind of messes with you. But I didn't have the whole world to develop. He had to develop who he is under the eyes of the entire world. Where, I went through my phases and was like, because martial arts has never been that big. So, yeah. But there was a lot of similarities. A lot of that movie I was playing myself, not him. But I was playing the stuff that we were very similar with. I famously feel like my temper was worse than his.
See that?
It was absolutely worse than his when I was young.
Well, speaking of martial arts, Bruce Lee, who has been a topic of our interviews over the years, apparently, because he died under mysterious causes.
To
right?
some, yeah.
Well, how old was Bruce Lee when he died?
I think 32.
Bruce Lee age 32, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're saying is that his death stems from drinking too much water. Did you hear this?
No.
Yes. This is a thing that's making its rounds. Now, Bruce Lee is very famous to be, his term is be water, my friend. Be like water. When water is in a glass, it can change. Remember, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, of course, it becomes the glass.
It becomes the glass. It's just
it
very
can
ironic.
Crash, or it could, whatever. I don't want to go into. I'll get crucified for doing a Bruce Lee impression, so let me stop.
Well, yeah. Here we go. Bruce Lee died from drinking too much water. That's what they're saying.
They're saying.
That's what they're saying.
Who's they?
Doctors. So basically what they're saying, it was based on the Clinical Kidney Journal. So an actual medical journal done by real doctors. They're saying that we propose that the kidney's inability to excrete excess water killed Bruce Lee. Ironically, Lee made famous by the quote, "Be water, my friend," but excess water appeared to have ultimately killed him. At the time, doctors believed the brain swelling was due to a painkiller, but nearly 50 years later, research shows that he likely died of hyponatremia, a low concentration of sodium in blood, which can be caused by too much water or fluid in the body, according to the Mayo Clinic. So basically what they're saying is that he was drinking so much water constantly that it may have killed him.
Yeah. I don't know. That sounds crazy to me.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy. But also, Bruce Lee seemed like one of these guys that took everything to the extreme.
It seems that way.
Yeah. Very much, he's not going to drink 1 cup of water. He's going to drink 50 cups of water.
No.
Well,
come on.
This is what they're saying.
You don't get nowhere drinking 50 cups of water. I mean, he just had to keep going to the damn bathroom. That's
Right.
I mean, really, I don't think he's extreme in everything like that, but yeah, he was. I mean, yeah. I mean, it just sounds crazy to me.
I'm surprised you haven't heard that because you're a big Bruce Lee fan.
Yeah.
And you know his daughter, right?
Yeah.
You should ask her.
I wouldn't ask her that.
Okay, because look, it says, so in the actual medical journal, it says, in conclusion, we hypothesize that Bruce Lee died from a specific form of kidney dysfunction, an inability to excrete water to maintain water homeostasis, which is mainly a tubular function.
Okay.
This may lead to hyponatremia, cerebral edema, and deaths within hours if excess water intake is not matched by water excretion in urine, which is in line with the timeline of Lee's demise. This is not just a bunch of wackos talking. This is actual medical doctors.
Okay, so it comes down to he's dead.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's no longer here.
That's the only part you agree with.
Yeah, okay. How it happened. All right, so it's like then the message here is
don't drink too much water.
Okay.
Here's an interesting question. Because in the past, you've said that you could beat Bruce Lee in a fight just because there's a sheer size difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if you and Bruce Lee were the exact same size, based on technique? If he was just as big and heavy as you.
Okay. I hate this area. Let me take me out of the situation. If Bruce Lee were to fight a professional fighter that's his size, it'd be very difficult for him to beat that person. Be very difficult for him to beat that person because Bruce Lee was not a fighter. That's not his skill set.
He was an actor.
Yeah, he's a martial artist, the greatest martial artist who ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, everything, the way he lived, but he was not a fighter. I'm sorry. It's a whole different skill set. It's ugly.
Okay.
You trade blows. You see people who are 132 pounds fight each other. It's like Ren and Stimpy. They beat the shit out of each other and nobody falls out.
Right.
They hit each other 100 times in a round. You understand? That shit's ugly, right? So you can't tell what's going to happen. It's just not fair for me to say to a professional fighter who's been hit in the head thousands of times and fight a guy who doesn't and say that you guys are equal.
Okay, so here's another one. An actual fight between Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan.
An actual fight? What I would think?
Yeah, who would win that fight?
I think Jackie Chan would win.
I mean, is not a professional fighter, but he is a.
I would if I was a betting man, I'd say Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan was bigger.
Okay, just because of his physical size. Have you met Jackie Chan before?
Briefly, yeah.
Jackie Chan. How tall is he?
He's not a small guy.
Okay.
I would say Jackie Chan's about 5'8", 5'9". 5'9", yeah, it was 5'8", 5'9". And he's durable. That's a tough dude.
143 pounds. Kind of on the light side.
Yeah, it was a lot heavier than Bruce Lee. That's a major difference in a fight game. Okay, major difference. And as far as ability,
Bruce Lee's 5'8", same height.
I don't think that's correct. I think they said that he's 5'8", but I don't believe so.
Yeah, I also see 5'7" and a quarter. So yeah, maybe 2 inches.
Well, yeah. You know, but I mean, you know, it's I would say because I know a lot of people who trained with Bruce Lee and knew Bruce Lee, like people like literally. On my birthday a few weeks ago, I'm training with Bill Wallace yet again, which is one of my instructors. Mm-hmm. These guys they know. Joe Louis, so there's so many people who've trained with Bruce Lee and sparred with him and all that. So I know about his abilities of fighting because these people, they wouldn't lie and they love Bruce Lee as well. Why would they? You know, it's just, it is what it is. Like there were people like Benny Urquidez around. Like Bruce Lee couldn't fight Benny Urquidez. That would be terrible. Benny Urquidez is a badass fighter, like a real fighter, like who can, walk through you. And I mean, like I say, fighting is, it's just different, And when I try to explain the weight difference to people who are, super fans, they're not going to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to get it because, thankfully, like the lure of somebody small beating everybody is fun.
Well, I mean, look at Mayweather versus Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Logan Paul was physically a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Mayweather clearly won that fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, are you?
So you have instances of smaller guys beating physically much bigger guys with technique.
When technique is far different. I mean, Mayweather's the greatest. I think he is the most talented boxer who's ever lived.
I agree.
He's got talents that nobody has. It may not be my favorite, but there's no arguing of his dominance.
And look at his record. No one has a record like that.
Right, yeah.
For a reason. It's not like he ducked everyone. No.
Yeah, but, so Mayweather fighting a guy that he is going to be very difficult for him to knock him out because he's too big. That plays into what I'm saying.
Well, Mayweather rarely knocks anyone out, even people in his own weight class.
No, people in his weight class. He
has knocked out a few people, but most Mayweather fights do not end in knockouts.
I think that was a choice of it. Like when he, the early days of Mayweather, he steamrolled over major badass people. Like, so, but again, is he going to knock out a guy that heavy? It's hard. And then you're talking about real fights and everything else, and you're talking about kicking, and it becomes different. You got these pillows on your hands, right?
Right.
It's a bit different.
Well, in professional fights, those are very thin pillows.
Boxing those are pretty big. When you're talking about as opposed to martial arts, where I'm using my fist.
Okay, you're right. I mean, a UFC glove is definitely way less padded than a boxing glove. But boxing gloves, man. I mean, I've put on real boxing gloves. Those motherfuckers are kind of thin, man.
Have you ever been kicked by a shin or a foot?
No.
It's very different. It's very different. A shin to your skull is pretty damn different. Yeah, it's a lot different than a boxing glove.
I feel you.
Yeah.
What happened between you and Allen Iverson?
Oh man, this was me being behind the times. Long time ago, I met Allen Iverson. This is when he was playing, and he was with his entourage, and I guess not being as versed in the street vernacular at the time, it was the first time I ever heard somebody say, "I fuck with you." I don't know if you can remember the first time you ever heard, "I fuck with you." At first,
which is a compliment.
I had no idea.
Okay.
And I'm at this function, and Allen is with his people, and he, how we are streetwise, it's like, I fuck with you. What? Man, I fuck with you. And I'm looking at his people. I'm like, you're clearly fucking with me right now. What's up with this cat? Because his body language is, fuck you, nigga. That's what his body language is like this. I don't quite understand it. He was like, I fuck with you. And I'm like, I don't know if he's going to make the game. I really don't know what's going on right here. And I'm looking at everybody else, And I'm like, am I about to fight Allen Iverson? I'm like, what's going on? How did this happen?
How did I get here?
And it was this really uncomfortable moment. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And everybody's looking at each other and they walk off. Later, I'm talking to a friend of mine and him, this girl, she's a publicist, and he comes back around to the table I'm at, and she's like, "Oh, Mike, have you met Alan?" I said, "Yeah," and he was like, "Yeah, we yeah," his demeanor was just completely different, and I'm thinking, I don't know what that was about. We're kicking it and we're hanging. I'm like, I just didn't know what that meant. Like recently, I was in Atlanta, and somebody told me, "Man, you filthy," and I didn't know what that meant. And I'm like, you could take that negative shit and get the fuck out of my face. And they're like, no, man, I'm just saying you filthy. I'm like, yeah, I heard you. I'm like, and my friends are going, no, he means that's filthy a compliment. Rich? No, I thank you, because I never heard nobody say that in a positive way. I'm older than you. I'm older. I'm sorry. There's people that don't know
slang.
You know, I don't know. I didn't know what that meant. And so it's like with Alan, that was the first time I heard somebody say, I fuck with you. I mean, if he did like, yo, man, I fuck with you. And I'm like, I think I would have, but he was like, I fuck with you.
No, I mean, I feel
it was like that. I was like,
yeah, saying someone is dripped out, if you don't have no idea what that means, it almost sounds like like an insult. But what it really means is that you have nice clothing. You're wearing designer. You're dripped out. You're dripping. But the fuck's that even mean?
Thank you, because I would have known that. Like I would have been like, what?
Just call me next time you get in the situation. I'll talk you down.
Yeah, because people don't know. Nowadays I get people that look like my age going, I grew up watching you. I'm like, damn, I'm that old.
Yeah. We all are, man. We're all getting up there. You're a few years older than me, but
yeah, I got you by a number of years.
5 years, 6 years. 6
years.
Yeah. Well, John Bones Jones is returning to the UFC as a heavyweight.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, he walks around as a heavyweight.
Oh, so he cuts weight.
Yeah. John is
who you know.
Yeah. John, I think he'll run through that division pretty easily. I mean, his wrestling skill set, I don't know if there's many people in the heavyweight ranks that can match that. So even he walks around, like me at say 235, that's already heavyweight. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to cut weight. He should be pretty damn healthy with it. If he wraps somebody up, they got problems.
Right, because heavyweight has no limit, right? You could be as heavy as you want.
265 is the limit.
So what happens after 265? Super heavyweight?
You get fined, I guess.
Oh, really?
That's the 265 is the limit.
What, you can't weigh more than 265 and legally fight?
Yeah.
Huh. So what happens if you're like 7 feet tall? If you're like Shaq, so Shaq can't fight?
He's got to get down to 265.
Shaq cannot get down to 265.
Probably not. They'd have to have enough people to create a super heavyweight division.
Okay. Right, because I'm saying a 7-footer, unless they're really lanky. Like Shaq weighs what, like 400 pounds probably?
I think he's less than that now. I think he dropped weight. But there's a certain point where
he's 324 pounds.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I guess you could lose 50 pounds or,
Yeah, I mean, Francis Ngannou's 290 something. And he when I was training, when I trained with him, he was like, he was 280 something. Like that dude's like.
Well, yeah. I mean, I interviewed Ken Shamrock. We were talking about UFC 1 that he was in.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, remember the UFC 1 where you had that big, huge dude?
Yeah, that's a freak show, though, man.
He was like 500 pounds. He had this like skinny white dude who like kicked his tooth out. So you had that one dude that was like 400 pounds fighting this dude that looked like about 170. Remember that?
Gerard Godot against Emmanuel 2'8".
There you go.
Yeah, the sumo guy that weighed almost 500 pounds or something like that, man.
Yeah, that was insane. And you could kick people in the face while they're down. I think he knocked one of his teeth out. And I think that was the fight when you saw that, when you were, ready to fight yourself. You're like, oh, okay, this is real. This is a little different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, yeah. That was a freak show.
That was like when UFC was just damn near a backyard brawl with like whoever shows up that day.
They were handpicked.
I know they were handpicked. I'm joking. But what I'm saying is the fact that you have a 400-pounder fighting a 150-pounder who ends up beating his ass.
Right.
And you kick people in the face when they're down. And
well, yeah, you know what? There's an argument. If you're around John Jones's weight or whatever, that's arguably the most dangerous like weight division, because you can knock out somebody 300 pounds easily, because a 300-pounder is a big ass target you can't miss, and that weight cements them. So if you got enough power, being over 200, that's why you got differentials where you got a guy 220 who can legally fight somebody 265 and still have a damn shot, because the guy 225 can a lot of times move faster than the guy that's 265, and that 265 guy can't get the hell out the way, and 225. You got enough power to knock out anybody. I don't care if they're 400 pounds, because that skull is just sitting there. In fact, I used to love to fight heavier dudes because they can't move out the way.
Okay, well, recently UFC 281, Israel Adesanya ended up losing to Alex Pereira.
Right.
This is now the third time that Israel has lost. Pereira said he needs to just accept the fact that he can't beat him. In fact, Drake actually lost $2 million betting on Israel.
Yeah. I don't. Even though this is the third time, I still would bet on Israel.
Really?
Yes, I would.
But why is that?
First of all, I don't think it should have been stopped. Israel was on his feet. I think psychologically something got in his head. But he would have won the fight. All he had to do was move and get out of the way. But something happened to his leg, it slowed him down. But there was only one way for Pereira to win that fight. It was a left hook to the head, basically. All Israel had to do was move, keep his head moving. I think might be kicking himself now, but that's all he had to do. Pereira is, there certain people, they have this ability to shrink down and then hydrate up to what they really are. Those are two different weight classes. This goes into what I'm saying. You look at those two, those guys did not belong in the same ring together.
Yeah, Israel was definitely like a much smaller guy.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, Pereira is one of these people who's a freak. Guy's 218, man. He's a big dude, like big bone structure, everything, and almost kills himself. But now you almost kill yourself to get down to the weight, and then you hydrate back up to who you.
Because this is the middleweight championship, right?
Yeah. There's no way that guy's a middleweight. This is like, what I wish they would do? UFC. I wish they would do this. They weigh in. How they normally weigh, and make them weigh in before they go fight. Nothing against, like, nothing to where it threatens their purse or anything. Just of the goddamn shame of it. Just get on the scale before you step in the ring. Just do that. Just so, okay, be happy with your win.
Right.
Big ass dude fighting a little ass dude. And just be happy with it, okay? So just so you know, that the people educate the fans a little bit. That they're seeing something they're seeing legalized cheating, is what they're saying.
Right, because, from weigh-in to fight night, how much do you think someone like a Pereira actually...
I think your body's made up mostly of water.
Right.
You can drench yourself, you can do that and then hydrate back. They used to do IV, get on IV and put all that stuff back in you. Well, it's hard to check for that. You in your hotel room on an IV, it's hard to check for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that's what he did. Some people can naturally do that. Look at Conor McGregor. Whenever he used to fight, right? You almost didn't recognize him when he's getting on the scale. He was so skeletal. Then the next day he looks like, dun, 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 you know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, yeah, go ahead, but weigh in right before the fight so we see how big you really are. And take that belt with pride if you want.
Right.
Knowing that your ass is like 20 pounds heavier than the guy you fought.
Do you think that Tyson Fury should be in the conversation as an all-time, one of the all-time great boxers? Or do you think that he doesn't really have that type of record?
No, I would. Maybe I don't. They don't seem like they fight enough nowadays. Well, Tyson Fury, I don't know how many fights he's had.
I think he had one in April.
Huh?
He had one in April.
He did?
I believe so. Hold on.
Yeah,
he beat...
You know what? It's probably because we're in the United States, and back in the day, you saw all the heavyweight fights, and now it's not as publicized because he's not an American.
Right. Well, he beat Dylan White in April, TKO. Before then, he beat Deontay Wilder twice. Mm-hmm. But that was 2021 and 2020. So you're right. In 2022, he's only had one fight. But he's actually supposed to fight Derek Chisora on December 3rd in England. Mm-hmm. Boxing just seems really boring right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's no superstars.
Yeah, you don't.
There's no Tyson. There's no Mayweather.
You don't want to live vicariously through these guys. You don't want to be that guy.
You say you don't want to be Tyson Fury?
A lot of people, I think they don't. Even though I love him. I love his personality.
Yeah.
I think he's a great human being. But it doesn't capture the whole thing of I want to be that guy. Well, young kids don't want to be a guy.
He's got a gut, sort of. Yeah. He looks kind of flabby.
Yeah. He's an everyman kind of guy. But
you throw him in that ring and hey.
Yeah, shoot. Like he's a big heavyweight.
Right.
With a long reach. But there's not a lot of heavyweights that can take advantage of his situation. I mean.
Yeah, he's 6'9".
Yeah. The heavyweights I just think they're just really, there's not a whole lot of talent out there.
Right. I mean, he has 33 total fights, 32 wins, 23 by knockout, 1 draw.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have a perfect record, but pretty close to it. He's never lost.
Yeah.
He's never lost. Says a lot. Especially
it sounds like he lost one, right?
Well, he had a draw.
Okay.
1 draw.
Yeah. Yep, and that the thing I remember the most is how he got up after Wilder knocked him down.
Yep,
like he was freaking Jason.
Right.
It's like that was the craziest thing, one of the craziest things I ever saw. But yeah, man, he's a tall heavyweight who uses footwork. Mm-hmm. I wish other heavyweights would take a. That's basically what Ali was to people.
Mm.
He was the biggest guy in the ring, and he used footwork. Yeah. So how you going to catch this guy? You got to be really smart. You got to have footwork, but a lot of people don't.
Jake Paul, he beat Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
In his last fight. Did that surprise you at all or no?
Oh yeah, it surprised me. Jake beating Anderson surprised me.
Why is that?
I didn't. Yeah, I know Jake had a punch on him. I thought Anderson had better defensive skills. I thought he would make him miss, like as a. I thought it would have been easy for Anderson to have Jake miss, but it wasn't so.
Do you know how old Anderson Silva is?
What, 37?
37? That's your guess?
I don't know. No, I have no idea. What?
47.
47. Okay. 47.
47.
Okay.
A little long in the tooth when it comes to boxing.
True. But
and Anderson Silva is not a boxer per se. He's an MMA guy.
True.
not to say that he doesn't have great skills and so forth, but he's not a boxer.
Yeah, it's true, but I would think that I thought Anderson would, again, have the skills to make him miss a bit more. But, yeah, I mean, hey, people should not count Jake out, man. It's like, I just give him a lot more credit, man. He did his thing. He's doing his thing. He's proven that he knows what he's talking about.
Right. And listen, I would give Jake Paul all the props in the world. As someone who came from the YouTube space, just like me, who was able to completely flip it and, make what seems like hundreds of millions of dollars from boxing at this point. Seems like he's really cleaning up. The criticism is that he's only fighting people over 40 years old. Tyron Woodley is 40.
Right.
Silva's 47.
Yeah.
The MMA guy that he fought, how old is he? Probably in his 40s.
Yeah,
Put him in the ring with a real 20-something-year-old who really boxes, who's not an MMA guy once again. Do you think that Jake Paul could continue this reign?
Of course not. I mean, but it's finding its own level. I think he's putting together things that are quite interesting. That's what the drama is. Because, Anderson Silva is 47.
47.
But it's Anderson Silva. That makes it interesting.
Right, but he's,
you know what I mean?
47. That is.
But
that is definitely on the older side of things.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. But I would have thought Anderson, at his age,
would have beat him. Okay.
I would have, because
and you know way better than me, right? When it
guess
comes
not.
to this right here, I take a step down and let you talk.
I would have been wrong about that one, though.
So you would have bet on Anderson Silva?
Yes, I definitely would have thought Anderson Silva would have had the edge on that, because out of just sheer points and ability to slip. I
mean, what I would love to see is John Bones Jones.
Versus who?
Jake Paul.
Oh, no. No, that's
Jake would never take that, huh?
No, he shouldn't either. 'Cause, I mean,
they're both heavyweights, right?
John is a whole different species. And he knows. John's got a, I don't know, that would be a little lopsided there.
Yep.
I think, yeah.
I mean, listen, I would love to see a guy of a similar age as Jake, who's really a real professional boxer, get in the ring.
I don't think I want to see that, because I think it would then be, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of things that, Jake has, it'd be difficult, because of course, I actually, I've taken part in trying to get guys over to train with I have gotten guys over to train with them, with Logan and Jake. And again, I know Milton, Logan's trainer, and we've, I was instrumental in getting Chad Dawson to spar with Jake and what have you. And when you have a professional, it's a little different. And there are things that it takes a while for someone like where Jake would be, I guess, would he be considered an amateur boxer?
I mean, would he be? I mean, isn't he a professional boxer at this point?
I don't.
I mean, he's fighting other professionals at this point. So.
Yeah, but he's not fighting professional boxers.
True.
It's a whole different thing. So I don't think it's fair to put him with. I mean, it may be fair to put him with professional boxers with his same kind of tenure, but not someone like,
Well, I mean, for example, are you familiar with Paddy Pimblett?
Mm-hmm.
UFC guy. He's 3-0 now. He believes that a lot of Jake Paul's fights are fixed. He actually feels that the Anderson Silva fight was fixed. And, he put out some footage, which, he pointed out a few things and so forth, he said.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
No? So you feel
No.
that was legit, that fight?
I think, as somebody who is a part of choreography and fighting and everything, it's not easy to fix a fight in front of everybody. You know how easy it is to pull things up? Like if they react to a punch that wouldn't have knocked them down. It's I've seen people. Imagine they're falling and they look at the mat before they land. Little things like that. One little eye movement could tell. It's not that easy. So I just don't think that a fighter is going to have the acting ability to pull that off in front of millions of people. I don't think that's because people are used to seeing movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And so the realm of the belief of somebody fixing something, they think they can imagine it more, but they don't really realize what it would take and how easy it would be to look really suspect.
Well, you yourself, you're 55 years old right now. A lot of people in my comments really ask, what exactly is your secret in terms of staying in shape, between the working out and the eating and so forth? What, if you were to give just a few things that you feel has allowed you to stay this healthy at this age? Because look, you've seen some horrible looking 55-year-olds out there.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace. There's a guy named Hovain. He was a music manager who died. I think he was in his mid-30s. And a lot of people were really kind of mourning his passing and so forth. To me, I personally didn't know him, but when I look at situations like this, he was very, very obese. The stomach hanging, over his thighs and so forth. When I see that, I think, man, you and I have had this conversation when COVID first hit, and I saw that there was a link between obesity and dying from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I lost 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And I've kept it off.
Yep.
3 years later, I weigh about 200. I'm not going to say I'm in perfect shape, but I'm in way better shape than I was before. I took my health very seriously, and a lot of people, when you see them die, like Big Pun, who was 500 pounds, who died from a heart attack and so forth. To me, that's scary. And that motivates me to lose weight and eat better and work out and so forth. So you yourself at your age, what do you do that you think is key to keeping you at this state?
Well, first of all, this is priority-wise and what I think is valuable. If I say, okay, I'll give you, $5 million today, but you have to die tomorrow. Or I'll give you $5 million, but, you're going to have horrible health. You quickly figure out what's more important, right? Your body, your health is the only thing that you really own that somebody can't take away from you. So I kind of look at it like it's nothing about kind of just this discipline thing. It's I get to do it. I get to train. I have the right. This is a right for everybody. And people talk about oh, I don't have time. Okay, let's put these things together here, because you say you don't have time to put into your health. I would argue that taking care of yourself is the only thing that gives you more time.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, because you have more time on this planet at a better quality of life.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to work. Well, okay, you're gonna have less time than you know. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. The fact that one day I'm gonna have a cane and I'm gonna wish I could run. I'm gonna wish I could get out of here and go work out. I will give everything I own to be able to do that one day. But guess what? I could do it right now. Everybody could do it now. But you're gonna be faced with cane day. You know what I mean?
At some point. Yeah, no, look.
If you live that long.
Hovain, and I retweeted this, and I think Gabriel Union actually retweeted my tweet.
Gabriel Union?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. Did I say
No,
it
you
wrong?
said Gabriel. It made me think of a dude.
Gabrielle Union, right.
Yeah, yeah.
She actually retweeted me,
Mm.
and I said that you just never know how much time you have left.
True.
This music manager, Hovain, 24 hours ago put up a tweet, said, "Thank you, God, for another day." 24 hours. And then one day later, he's gone. He had no idea.
Right.
I'm sure. I don't know if it was a heart attack or whatever. Obviously, someone dying that young is probably weight related, health related. It's not healthy to be that type of weight. But 24 hours before, he said, "Thank you, God, for another day." And then poof.
He might have knew something there. And playing a detective is like...
Maybe not.
he could have been
no one plans to die a day later unless they're going into some suicide mission. But
I hate to be morbid, but it could have been like, "Thank you for another day." That was fucked up. That was fucked up of me to say that, right? I feel fucked up by saying that.
Well, listen, if you are an unhealthy weight, and you continue to stay that unhealthy weight, you cannot be surprised when bad things happen because of that weight. Like, for example, Big Boy from the radio, who I know, like, he was morbidly obese at one point, and he went and got an operation to get it fixed.
Stomach staple,
he got the stomach staple.
Yeah.
I interviewed Buster Douglas. After he lost to Holyfield, he sat around and ate to the point that he put himself into a diabetic coma. He woke up and said, "That's it. Right. No more. I am done with this lifestyle." Well, you ended up going from 246 pounds to almost 400 pounds.
Right. It didn't stop.
Oh, what was the heaviest you ever got?
That was it. I'm just saying. It just kept, until I went into that diabetic coma.
Right. You weren't a diabetic before that, right?
No, I wasn't. I'm perfectly healthy.
So you gained so much weight that you ended up getting diabetes.
Right.
At that point, before the coma, here you are, 400 pounds, diabetic. Did you think, okay, look, if I keep going down this path, I'm just going to die?
Yep.
And
that's where it came to. Waking up in that hospital, it was like, whoa, this is it. I almost checked out of here, and that was inspiration enough to get back into life, the game of life.
And look, and he's around to this day, 20, 30 years later, he's living a good life and so forth. He's a little bit heavy, but he's not.
Yeah. I hate to sound like a hippie, but you got to love yourself.
You got to love yourself.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't think that you deserve it, you're going to do yourself in. I don't care how much money you got or whatever. You will just have more money to do yourself in with.
Right. And I remember, there was a guy who works for Google who, focuses on, aging and so forth. And he said the secret to immortality is to be alive long enough for the next medical breakthrough that will keep you alive, potentially. You see what I'm saying? Now, the health part is one part, but also, hey man, listen, there's people who look like you who get cancer.
Oh yeah.
And it has nothing to do with their food, their lifestyle, whatever, they get cancer. And if you are at the stage of human history where that particular cancer can't be treated, doesn't matter.
Right.
You're done. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. My dad died of Parkinson's. If I get it later in life, I'm hoping that some sort of medical, technology somehow catches up and is able to deal with it. My dad was taking Parkinson's pills, but ultimately he lost his ability to walk, lost his ability to eat, lost his ability to breathe. And, I had to make the decision to do a do not resuscitate. And it still hurts me to this day to do it. But me and the doctor they said, listen, if he has to get a breathing tube one more time, coming out of it is going to be the worst thing ever for him.
Yeah.
And so we made the decision, and maybe a week later he got on a breathing tube again. And that was that. But listen, at some point there might be a pill that you could take for Parkinson's that just fixes it. And it's just like, it becomes a non-issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's There's a minefield that you have to work around, but I do believe, I mean, wholeheartedly that, food is your medicine.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
definitely part of it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for example, the thing that bothers me that no one really wants to talk about is, like, for example, Lizzo,
Mhm.
right? The singer who's she's heavy. And everyone has a comment about her. I remember Kanye, when he was going off the rails, he was doing this whole thing about, he mentioned Lizzo and her being overweight and America pushing this image and so forth.
Mhm.
No one talks about DJ Khaled, who's actually bigger than Lizzo and actually brags on Instagram about how he eats lobsters every day.
Mhm.
But people like Khaled, and he's the funny overweight guy, and he's in his Maybach with his shirt off and stuff like that, and but no one, I mean, it's somewhat like a sexist. I feel it's a sexist thing. You can't talk bad about Lizzo and praise Khaled in the same breath. Like, it's just, it's not fair because both of them are somewhat, are overweight.
Right.
And, but men, I think, have more of an acceptability of being overweight than women.
Yeah, well, there's a thing that's connected that I think that you got to put into this equation is that Black women for so long have been put at the bottom rung, and so what you're seeing is people who have been kind of subjugated. There's a backlash of like, no, don't beat on us, like like Black women finding their voice, finding their pride. And it's unfortunately, it's linked with this thing of being proud of who you are.
Well, and to be fair,
your size, and you don't have to be thin.
And to be fair, I feel that heavier women are more accepted in the Black community than the white community.
True, but
what I'm saying? The whole, like, I never heard the term thick being referred to white women.
Right.
Right? Like,
Unless it's in the Black club.
These days, there's a thing, and, white girls are getting BBLs and all that. But I'm saying, like, in general, thick was a term for Black women, almost exclusively for a long time.
Yeah.
White women were not trying to be thick.
Yeah.
A white woman who was considered thick, white men would consider her just fat.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's complicated because there's a lot of unhealthy sisters out here that it's like they don't want to get healthy, and they look at someone like that and find their pride in it. I'm gonna bring some more mashed potatoes. Like no, it's the problem is the link there. Be proud of yourself, but damn, like you can be proud of yourself and healthy.
Right. I mean, your wife, for example, is very much a fitness person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the one thing that you two seem to have in common.
Well, yeah, because it just, your quality of life is just so much better.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some people don't want to do what's hard for them. And what's really twisted is that there'll be women who lose weight and then ostracized by other women, because they look at themselves in their equation and go, that bitch, whatever. It's kind of twisted up. But when I see the obesity and the diabetes and all that type of stuff, and mothers, leaving the family and kind of putting this, having generations of women doing the same thing. Hey, man, it gets tricky because food is connected to Black women's or Black people's creature comfort. If you don't have, if you're a poor Black person, where's your creature comfort? A lot of times that's food. That's what makes you feel good, and there's a tradition of that. You want to take that away from me too? You know what I mean? So it's complicated, right? It's personal to me because with my mom and my father, I'm like, Mom, this is turkey bacon. Mom, this hamburger, this is a turkey burger, Mom. Here's here's some greens that made with this non-GMO. Like try my best. I have to try my best to put my mother on a diet that she can enjoy her food, because you know how to cook. Just cook with something that's not going to take you out of here. And it's tricky.
Yeah, I mean,
because
listen.
then ultimately I had to get to a point where my mom and my father, it's like, that's all good, but this is my comfort. And I go, granted, I had to do my best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's a certain point that, like I said, it's tricky in that community where you ain't got money, but you got some damn good food.
Yeah, I mean, listen, who doesn't love soul food? I love soul food.
But, again, it
but
comes down to
soul
you.
food is made with essentially the worst stuff on earth.
Yeah.
They put pork in damn near everything. They put grease and fat in, I mean, collard greens by themselves don't taste very good. But you throw a bunch of pork and lard and whatever. It's vegetarian. No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
The only thing vegetarian is the green stuff there. Everything else around it is a whole lot of animal fat.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese, like all this stuff. I mean, even the stuff that's supposed to be healthy, like yams, are just all tons of sugar and, molasses and whatever else. Yeah. But it tastes good.
Yeah.
Cornbread, slathered with butter. Like, listen.
Yeah, but we got these through lines where, it's about loving yourself.
Yeah.
It's about putting other people before you, hopefully your family.
Yeah.
And being around for them and, kind of, trying to do something for that generation so they're around longer. And, just education. And it ain't easy, but it's worth it. I'm gonna be preaching my gospel of like taking care of yourself as much as I can, and to anybody who wants to hear it. But I do understand, and I have empathy for people doing their thing. It's like, like with my mom, I got to present it to you.
Yeah, I mean, with people, man, there's so many people in my life throughout the years that you tell them just the most obvious thing, but they will not do it. And you present the facts and you present your track record of telling them certain things.
Yeah.
And it does not matter. They're going to sit there. That horse is going to sit there next to that lake and say, I'm not thirsty.
You still got to do it.
You still got to do it.
You got to do it. You better not keep your mouth closed.
You care about the person.
Yeah,
no, listen,
absolutely.
I mean, I've said this before. To this day, it still bothers me. DJ K. Slay, who had been my friend for like 20 years, my last text message with him, we were talking about some interview stuff. He was helping me book somebody, and I'm like, "How you been?" He's like, "I'm good, just trying to stay out of the way of this COVID thing." And I'm like, "Okay, are you vaccinated?" He said, "Nah, the vaccine don't work for the variants. I'm gonna wait until all the variants are done, and I'm gonna take the vaccine then maybe." And I'm sitting there on my keyboard, right, and I'm like I want to say something. But I'm like, but this man is older than me, right? He was like, I don't know, like 7, 8 years older than me. So I'm like, and I've gone through these conversations with so many people that I'm like, I'm just, something, if he doesn't want to take the vaccine, there's a grown-ass man, he don't have to take the vaccine. 1 week later, he got COVID, went to the hospital. He was in the hospital, like on life support for months, ultimately died. And it's like, if I had said something, would it have changed? Would he have like, oh, I respect Vlad. Let me go ahead and get vaccinated. That vaccine would have saved his life. I'm sure people in the comments are going,
but
that vaccine statistically would have saved his life. He was a man in his mid-50s. He was somewhat not obesely overweight, but he was somewhat overweight. He would go out a lot drinking. I don't know if he smoked, whatever. But ultimately, whatever that situation was put together, he caught COVID and died prematurely.
No.
I could have said something. I chose not to because of the social awkwardness around that. and it still bothers me to this day.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. Exactly right. That's why you got to be the pain in the ass.
Yeah.
For your friends, for the people you love. Even if they don't respect it and it causes the end of the friendship, so be it. So be it. But you got to live with yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly right, man. I don't ever want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to second guess. You do the right thing, not for your ego, just for your health.
The right thing. Yeah. No, I feel
yeah.
you. I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry to his family.
Yeah.
That didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel bad about it. Next time around, I'm gonna learn from my mistakes and say something, even if he tells me to go fuck himself afterwards.
Mm.
So I had someone on my show recently that you know.
Mm.
We actually did a FaceTime after our interview. Isaiah Washington.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You guys worked together on which movie again?
Exit Wounds.
Exit Wounds.
Yeah.
With DMX.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, and Steven Segal was on there.
Yeah.
So, number one, according to him, he had to keep you from beating up Steven Segal. He was trying to convince you not to beat him up on a regular basis, according to the interview.
I was the UN between kept Michael Jai White from hurting Steven Seagal. So, Steven Gall, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jai wanted him bad.
I don't remember that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Did you ever see the clip? Hold on. Let me actually.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I'm not misquoting.
No, I did see it. No, he did say something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's probably meaning that. I think I told you this story where. I think I did, where I was basically on set for another darn near month with only one scene to shoot. Mm. And it was just the final fight scene with Steven Seagal and I.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept going, well, when are we going to shoot this thing? Why am I just hanging around Toronto? And I asked the director, and he told me in this way, well, what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that fight scene with you and Steven Seagal is the last thing we shoot. Because if you hurt him, we can finish the fight scene with his stunt double. And I'm like, really? Are you serious? Yeah, because if you really fuck him up, we don't need him around. And I was like, you're trying to get me to hurt Steven Seagal. And what kind of shit is that? And then I went to the producer, asked him, I said, Andre just told me that he's trying to get the fight scene with Seagal and I at the end. Is this true? Same thing. He's like, you know what? If you really punch him in the face or you knock his teeth out, we won't need him. We can finish it with the stunt double. And I'm like, holy shit. These grown-ass men are trying to set up Steven Seagal
to get beat up.
Yeah. Which is some bullshit because it's everybody's susceptible. That's not a heroic thing whatsoever. I know everybody wanted to see him get hurt.
Well, because he had a history of hurting
yes.
Stunt doubles, right?
Yeah. He has a history of that.
Yeah.
And on set, he knows, like I said before, he knows who to do that with. But me, I think that's some chicken shit stuff to hit anybody, right? Including me. I would never do that to somebody. Now, some of the guys, some of the people take pride in being able to get hit and, whatever. A lot of people don't like that. He's not Steven is not a pleasant person to work with. This is true. Where I heard this from the director and producer, I called my manager and I'm like, Craig, would you believe that they're delaying? They want me up here to finish the fight scene with Steven Seagal, and they're really trying to entice me to like injure him. And I'm like, I don't hear anything on the other line. And I'm like, Craig, are you there? He's like, you know that wouldn't hurt your career none. I'm like, you too? Are you serious? I'm dead. I kid you not, this shit happened. And I told him, listen, I promise if he steps out of line, I have no problem, doing, tightening shit up, put it that way. But I don't think he's going to do that. We've worked together before. But I hate bullies and I'm not going to be one. Steven Segal is not a fighter. Okay? I would never do that to any person. I don't care if it's Steven Segal or whatever, even if you feel like you deserve that. That's not me. When we did the fight scene, Steven Segal was very nervous. This is the truth. He was very, very nervous. And I swear to you, he barely even wanted to touch me. And I basically said to him, look, I know he smells the setup. There's no way. I'm not doing that shit. Okay? That's not me. Even my friends, I'm a good friends with Chuck Zito. Right?
Yeah, I met him. Yeah.
Chuck Zito, you met him at my house.
Yeah, your house, yeah.
He beat up Van Damme.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah, he was Van Damme's bodyguard. They got in the squabble and he beat the shit out of Van Damme. And I, as a friend, said like, yo, man, you shouldn't take pride in that. Van Damme's not a fighter, man.
Right.
Like, you should be beyond that. And it could have caused a problem with Chuck and I. But no, he respected that. But I just go, bro, Chuck's a warrior. I mean, Chuck, there's a documentary coming out about Chuck.
Okay.
People, that's what I was saying.
No, I'm supposed to interview him.
Yeah, you got to interview Chuck. He's one of the most interesting human beings on the face of the planet. But I respect the hell out of him. I go, no, man, you're supposed to be able to beat Van Damme, right?
Mm-hmm.
So me taking pride in hurting Segal, I find no gratification in that. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. And I got to look at myself in the mirror. There's a lot of things throughout Hollywood where if I took this route or that road, or I could have, this money for selling out my values or whatever, I would have done that shit a long time ago. I'm not trying to get it that way. Fuck that.
Mm.
No. So, I was surprised about, my own, hey, guys will be guys. My manager is like, of course, a lot of people are not fans of Segal and want to see him hurt. But come on, man, I don't subscribe to that. So, Isaiah knows that there's a part of me that wishes a motherfucker would. So, Isaiah knows that. I'm mature enough, but I do. I mean, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, I do walk around with a certain degree of I wish a motherfucker would. That's just the truth. I always enjoyed fighting. That's why I do it all the time still. You know what I mean? And train with, last week, I enjoy keeping my sword sharpened with great fighters. It's a joy to me. And, and I say, if I, get lumped up and have a black eye or whatever, that's a trophy for me. You know what I mean? I don't mind that at all. Cause there's a thing of, I had physical gifts growing up in fighting. And so I think I always wanted to test. I always honored people who didn't have the physical gifts I had and would stand in there and overcome adversity and overcome not being as gifted and staying in it, right? So like, there's something to be said for that. And I used to kind of question myself. Do I have that? Or I'm that guy that if it gets tough for me, would I be able to because for my character, I need to learn how to get my ass kicked. I need to make sure I can do that and prosper beyond it. You think about this, like, I think Mike Tyson is, at the time, like the most talented heavyweight ever. I think he could have beat every heavyweight in their prime, right?
I agree. I think in his prime, Tyson would have beat Ali.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah.
But the knock on it is that whenever it became difficult for Tyson, you never had that time where Tyson went through difficulty and came out the other side.
Yeah.
Right? Because usually if it got difficult, the match was over.
Well, I mean, the ear biting thing is an example of that.
Well, each time he was defeated, there's a possibility of overcoming the adversity.
Yeah.
Digging down, overcoming the adversity. And, those of us that were big fans, we wanted to see that.
Yeah.
But then having that knock.
Right. And to be fair, I mean, after the Buster Douglas loss, he went to prison for 3-4 years, something like that. So he lost that time and that ability to train and so forth, and that ability to fight. Now, granted, he was still relatively young when he came out.
That ability lies with all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. He could have came out, been super focused, and dominated, beat the shit out of Holyfield and dominated once again.
No. What I'm talking about, the burning sands is like, when it's tough, I dig deep.
Yeah.
It's the Rocky thing. When the Rocky music plays, is because I'm getting my ass kicked and I got to overcome it.
Yeah.
And get to the other side.
Right.
So and that's the moment that we just did not see, right?
Right.
So,
and to be fair, like I remember when I interviewed Tyson, and I brought up how Buster Douglas, after beating him when he went to go fight Holyfield, he was just in awful shape, pretty much got knocked down and was like, "Where's my money?" How did Tyson feel about that? He goes, "Well,
I'm trying to find a way, because I know I'm mature enough to say this in a way that's not offensive. I don't know why it's this way. I understand why it's this way. And I think life is not fair when it's this way. It's just some guys, got different kind of characters and bloodlines.
You know what I'm saying?" So I think Tyson considers himself one of these guys who takes it completely seriously. But you're right. There are times, I mean, really, after losing to Buster Douglas, he never regained that level of who we love Tyson to be, unfortunately. Yeah. And we were all waiting. We were all like, okay, all right, he's out of prison now. Cool. He's going to finally fight Holyfield. All right, cool. Oh, yeah, he's going to finally beat the shit out of this dude. And nope, it didn't work out that way.
No. I mean, I'm not really saying that. I'm just saying within the drama of the actual fight, whatever fight it is, to be okay. Things are not going well.
Yeah.
Dig deep, overcome it, and get on the other side. There's it's that thing within the drama of that of a particular fight. Of course, I'm saying this is the most talented boxer heavyweight I've ever seen.
Right, and but you also have to take into account, for example, what was happening outside the ring. And the partying, the fact that he was hanging out with Bobby Brown the night before the Buster Douglas fight with a bunch of girls.
But I know all of these things, but that has nothing to do with what I'm saying. It is something that if he's, I'm just saying that in a lot of fights, you can look at Floyd Mayweather. He almost got knocked down by
Zab Judah.
Yeah. Or
Zab
Mosley.
Zab Judah still thinks he knocked him down.
But either way.
Yeah,
but
either
then
way.
It's hard. You overcome. Sugar Ray Leonard, he had to overcome. It's that type of thing. So what's missing is just that. You know what I mean? Because it just, and that sounds like I'm hating on Tyson, and I'm not. But I'm just saying what's missing is that portion. And the thing that I'm connecting is that, using myself, going, man, like there's a part of me that goes, okay, yeah, like Tyson is physically gifted.
Yeah.
So beyond the physical gifts, to go beyond that. So yeah, I'm physically gifted, but that's the thing where I need to learn how to get my ass kicked. My thing was like, that's one of the reasons why I, test myself. And I want that, it's that thing to where I feel like stopping and I dig deep and have to overcome myself.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying this as to say, and I'm using Tyson just only as that conduit of going, imagine, the gifted person when it's not going their way, that's like, that's enough of this shit. I'm done. Or the gifted person going, I know I have these gifts. My character, now's my character. It's between my character and I have to forge through this ring of fire so I can get to the other side and know that this spirit is indomitable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm way too philosophical here, whatever. But I'm just talking about the way I'm looking at the way why what is in it for me and why I continue to test myself, because it's a character thing, not just it's about when you're getting your ass kicked that teaches you more than when you're kicking ass.
Well, Isaiah Washington, during our interview, brought up something that raised a few eyebrows. We talked about how he worked with Aliyah on Romeo Must Die, which was Aliyah's first acting role.
I believe so.
And I brought up the whole R. Kelly situation. And he said, well, as far as from what he observed about her, he said that she was very in control of her being. But she was a businesswoman too, super smart. I think she was in control of that situation, even at her age. And I said, well, but she was 15.
She was very complex. Like I said, she was easy to love. Can't judge choices she made in her life. She was very in control of her being. But she was a businesswoman too. She was super smart, right? I think she was in control of that situation, even at her age, 100%.
At 15?
Oh, yeah. When I say she was mature beyond her age, like that song, age ain't nothing but a number.
Name of her first album, yeah.
She was 15 going on 30. Easy. So she was in control of that whole situation.
And not surprisingly, a lot of people were upset about this. Okay. Me personally, I don't agree with him on this stance. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, you could be mature, you could be in control. Laws are laws, you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're in control or not, statutory rape is still statutory rape.
True.
What do you think about this particular situation?
I have to say the same thing. I mean, the laws are the laws. Even though, I mean, there's not much to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no argument to that. Kudos to him for sticking his neck out to say something like that.
Right.
That takes a lot of guts.
It does.
And what I read into that is that she was quite she was quite mature for her age, which is quite believable. But I don't care how much, there's the law supersedes that. Hey, I was mature for my age.
Right.
I've been on my own since I was 14. I was messing with grown women when I was 15.
Right.
Still, it is what it is.
It was still statutory rape.
Yeah.
Your first child was essentially statutory rape, right? Because the woman, you were how old?
I was 15.
And the mom was
older than 15. Yeah.
Well, recently, this actually made a lot of headlines. Cher, who is 76 years old, is now dating Amber Rose's baby father, Alexander Andrews, who is 40 years her younger, 36.
I'm trying to give a fuck. It's not working.
It's not working.
It's not working.
No fucks given, right? None whatsoever.
Yeah, I tried.
Well, listen, I'm not mad at this either.
I tried.
Man. Listen, at the end of the day, if he found himself a little sugar mama, obviously Cher is very wealthy. And if they like each other, and if this younger man is making this woman feel good about herself, more power to them. Men do this shit all the fucking time. All the fucking time.
Yeah.
You know, what's his name? Billy Ray Cyrus, who's 60-something, just got engaged to a 30-something-year-old. Hey, man, it is what it is.
Still not working.
Are you, because you played Spawn in the movie, are you familiar, and he's actually a regular guest on my show, this rapper named Daylight, who has a Spawn tattoo on his face?
No, I don't. No, don't show me. Don't show me.
I'm showing you. You got to see it.
Oh, okay. Okay. He doesn't live in L.A., does he?
He does live in L.A.,
okay,
yeah.
Shit. What part?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been invited to his house yet.
Okay.
But he's had the Spawn tattoo since I've known him. I've probably known him for a good 10 years. He's a battle rapper, actually. You know, he's now, I'm not sure if he's signed to TDE or affiliated, whatever, but, you know, he's made his rounds. But he went and got this Spawn tattoo on his face. And he's been rocking it ever since.
You know his reasons behind that?
Man, we have talked about it, but it's been so many times that so many interviews we've done. I don't exactly remember the reason. But I remember he told me that when he had to go to a couple of different tattoo parlors because the tattoo guys didn't want to do it.
The dude said no.
Oh, he said no.
Yeah, he said no. He said I wasn't doing it. No, he literally was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't. Like, we have somebody else that probably could do it. You can ask him. He'll be in at like 3 or something like that. So I waited to 3. The dude came in. He was like, I can't. So, you know, most face tattoo parlors, they'll do something small, but they won't go all the way under and all that. Like, it's like risk at certain shops. So I actually had to go to the homie in the hood to do it.
You went to tattoo parlor?
I remember when I was one time signing comic books or whatever for a festival or whatever, and I see a guy in the line. He has a big Spawn face on his chest, basically. Half his face is Spawn, the other half is my face. And I'm like, I'm seeing this coming at me. It totally freaks me out. I barely have a Spawn action figure.
I actually looked it up, and we did in fact talk about this in our interview.
What?
The Spawn tattoo on his face. Daylight.
Oh.
The reason behind it. Because you asked why he got it, and I said I don't remember, but I actually looked it up, and we actually did talk about it on camera.
Did?
Not me and you, me and Daylight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, me and Daylight talked about this.
Okay.
So here's the story behind his Spawn tattoo. So he grew up, I think, in Watts, right? And he had aspirations of being a rapper and so forth, but at the time, there really wasn't any progress. He was working at Taco Bell. And there was a particular instance when Taco Bell was right about to close. He was working the drive-thru, and some guy pulled up and wanted like 50 tacos, right? And the manager basically was like, hey, you got to make all these tacos. At that moment, he said, I'm done with this shit. So he quit his job at Taco Bell and went and got this tattoo, which he felt would prevent him from getting another job like the Taco Bell job. And he figured, okay, I'm going to be all in terms of my music career. And this face tattoo is going to prevent me from caving on this principle and just getting another bullshit, fast food job to support myself.
I'm like, yo, I can't go back to work. I got to find a way to block myself from going back to work. Like, even if I want to go back, I can't. I got to chase my dream no matter what. She was like, what you gonna do? And I went to the bathroom and I drew it on first. And I was like, I'm getting this tattooed.
And ultimately, it kind of worked out for him. He has been supporting himself through his music and so forth since that time.
Why Spawn?
I don't know.
I was waiting for that part. Like,
yeah.
So basically, you got
his friend actually drew it, and and he actually got inspired by it. He went and did it. He said his friend cried when he actually saw him actually do it afterwards, and and called him crazy and the such.
I thought he was going to say, I drove up to the damn drive-through or something.
No, you had nothing to do. You had nothing to do with his face tattoo. This was all him. But yeah, that's
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, so that's just a line in the sand. I'm
done.
Burning the bridge. I'm
burning this bridge. Yeah. I know with this big crazy face tattoo that no minimum wage company will ever hire me again. I'm going to create this artificial crutch to prevent me from continuing this dead end career.
Okay.
Essentially. And it worked.
Yeah, it did.
And it worked.
Okay.
Hey, man, he's married. He's got like 2 kids. So like I say, he's got songs with J. Cole now and stuff like that. Okay. So, he's a very well-known battle rapper. Me and him, he is actually, usually when he does an interview, he comes in some sort of disguise. And the greatest of which is when he came in as Bradley, which looks like this. There's actually talks.
I'm old and confused.
That's it.
All right. Who's Bradley? I don't even know who Bradley is.
It's this character that he created.
Oh, so that's not something that everybody...
For a Vlad TV interview.
Oh, that's just...
He walked into this room we're sitting in right now.
In a blonde wig.
In a blonde wig and bleached and face makeup. Yeah.
And it's a character of his.
And he did the whole interview in character as Bradley. Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Takes all types to make a world.
What a lot of people don't know, and I don't think we've talked about this in the past, at least not on camera, was that you actually had the offer to play Ghost in Power.
I've heard this.
Is this not true?
That's something that I've heard from producers, and as to, I don't know if I would want to go down this road, because it's I've heard this. I've heard this, and I don't know how much truth to it there is.
So you didn't go in for a reading or anything of that sort? You did go in for a reading?
No. There'd been an offer. Because, some things get offered to you, but you have to be available to do it.
Okay, and you were working on what, like a Tyler Perry movie at the time, I think?
I believe so. The show.
The show. Okay, so it was brought to the table, but you were working on something else, so you couldn't even realistically entertain it at the time. Well, listen, Amari Hardwick got a career boost.
Oh yeah, too. Amari's a friend, man. Yeah. I mean, he did. He was outstanding in that series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last question, and this was actually brought up on one of my Vlad TV YouTube members, JJA. He said, if there was a biopic about Michael Jai White, who would you get to play you? The young you.
Oh, man, how that's weird. A biopic. I don't know enough. I don't know enough folks.
Who would play a young Michael Jai White?
I have no idea. I don't know who's out there.
Never thought about it.
Of course not. Of course not, because maybe who plays a young Michael Jai White is my age now, because I'm not going to be done for a while.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I have no idea, because I ain't like, what, 20, 30 years from now, then they do the movie. That person hasn't been born yet, maybe.
Mm.
I don't know. That's
interesting question, though. Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. For example, like, I had Freeway Ricky here, and he had his director with him, and they're, trying to put together his biopic.
Yeah, I met him, and he
he
talked
asked you
about
to be
me playing
him. Right. Well, he didn't bring it up this time. When I asked who would play you, he said his ideal would be Donald Glover.
I don't know. They say we shouldn't say who we want.
We should. I know. That's one thing they told us. Like, yo, don't say nothing yet.
Yeah, they don't really want us to talk about who the actor is, because it makes it harder for negotiation.
Right.
If they know I want him and he want him, they gonna be like, "You in high demand, buddy."
Well, but it also might put the word out and get the actual actor interested in it. See, double-edged sword here.
So you want to play with the sword?
Might
Let's
actually
play
cut in
with
your
it.
favor.
I'll play with it. You say what you say earlier. Don't be safe.
Don't be safe.
That's what he just said. Don't be safe.
So who do you want to play?
Childish Gambino.
Good work. Skinny, relatively same build. Don't really look alike, but
Yeah, I don't know Donald Glover's background. I don't know if he's got that street edge. I mean, he's an amazing actor.
Yeah.
So he very well. I mean, he's
yeah, I can sort of see it. There's a picture of him with a beard, and I'm like, okay, maybe a young Freeway. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation regardless. Like, who would play you? Like, who would play me in a DJ Vlad biopic? Like, what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to try to even put my head in that, because I don't, it's the people who remind me of myself.
Right.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll think about it. Maybe next time. We'll come up with somebody. Michael Jai White.
All right.
Oh, he's a pleasure, man.
My
Until
pleasure,
next
brother.
time, my man.
All right.
Peace.